So this is Digital Dave, and one of the things a lot of people ask us about is that we do at least 2 podcasts a week and slash videos. How do you produce so much content? How do you do this?
Hi, I'm Small Business Stacy,
I'm Digital Dave.
where marketing
Meets technology.
So the one thing I want to point out is in one of our previous shows we talked about some free tools that we use, which include paint.net and some paid tools that we use. And one of the paid tools we use is called Camtasia Studio, which we talked about a little bit in that episode, which is a video editor. So the video editor is crucial as the first step to producing both your video for online as well as your podcast. So what I'm going to do for today is I'm going to actually look at and peel back the hood a little bit on Camtasia Studio and some basics, the beginning basics of how to use a video editor and what a video editor is and can do. Now, again, this will be an extended series of videos. This will just be the very first one on some of the basics, and we'll expand on those in future videos. This is Camtasia Studio, and you can see it's very busy. It is a video editor, and there are many out there. Camtasia Studio to me is it's one of the editors that is pretty simple to use for most people, and it does have pretty significant functionality. Now, you're not going to go out and produce a full-length movie, 2-hour movie with it, although I think people have. But it's perfect for editing and clipping and putting together YouTube videos. Now, what we want to start with is we're going to kind of cover some of the menu items today as we go through this, and really show some of the very basic features of a video editor. And I think probably the most critical feature there is in the video editor is the timeline. And down here you'll see your timeline, and you'll see multiple tracks applied to this timeline. Now, the reason this is the way that it is and showing is that this is a template. We've actually created a template that it's a project that we've saved in Camtasia Studio that for our marketing in 2 minutes or less video slash podcasts, we want to start each episode exactly the same way, and we want to end it the same way, and we want to put our new content in there in between. And that's done by creating a template or a project that was already being used. And we then use that template and we embed our additional video within that. And that's what we've done here. And what you'll see in the timeline is you'll see some stuff that's already there that we've added previously, and you'll see some stuff that is not already there that we actually imported into this, which is the current video that we're working on. And we're going to show you how to clip this video, and we're going to show you how to edit it, and we're going to show you some of the basic things you can do with this video, which includes annotations, transitions, behaviors, animations, cursor effects, voice narration, audio effects, visual effects, and interactivity and captions. Now, we're not going to cover all of these in this video. Obviously, some of these will be for future videos, so we'll just do 1 or 2 of those in this one. You'll notice here that there's a media library. Media library is the existing elements that have already been brought into this particular video project that are available for bringing into your timeline and editing. And we've added some of these previously. As I said, they're part of kind of a template we put together, and we've added some of these with this particular video that we're making today, which was part of this clip right here. There's also the library, and what the library is Camtasia Studio gives you a whole lot of elements that have been pre-imported into the program itself when you install it. This is also where you upload and add additional effects or features that you want to have added to it. And it's also where, if you're going to have elements that you're going to continuously reuse, you may want to add those within the library, and you can add a new element by, say, we always want to have this 2-minute intro, since this is our marketing in 2 minutes or less, available for every video, so that we can add that in the beginning. And we actually may do that because it looks like I think there's a piece missing here. Now what I'm going to do is show you, if you right click on here, you can import media to the folder, and you can add additional elements to that library. You can delete the library, you can export some of the assets or the elements, and you can rename your library. Now this is really handy as you come back in each time, that these are always available. So I'm going to drag one of these into my timeline, and this is the intro that we use. 2-minute marketing intro series, intro audio. Now this is a video, so we don't want just the audio. I'm going to drag this in here and see. We already have it, it looks like. It looks like this is it right here. The only thing I'm not 100% certain is if we have the audio with the one we have on our timeline already. And if you right click on any of these embedded timeline elements, what you'll see is that there's many things you can do right from that element. One of these is to separate the audio from the video. Now this is a way to tell if I've already done this or not, and if the audio is available. You know, I can tell the video is available, but I can't tell if the audio is. So I'm going to go ahead, and it is. Okay, so I've split that, and now you can see actually the audio and the video from the same clip split into 2 different assets or elements. So I don't need the one that I've imported. The next thing to know about the timeline, and again, we'll spend much more time as we go through future videos on some important things about the timeline, is that, one, you can lock any track in place, and what the lock does is just prohibit you from editing it after that point in time. So if I didn't ever want this track to change, then I could lock it so that it couldn't be changed. And you can also disable this track. Now this comes in handy a lot of times when you're bringing in a new asset or element and you don't want to see or listen to all of the ones that are already there. And if you click on the little eyeball here, I guess is what it is, it'll actually disable it and enable it, and you'll see it disappears from the timeline, or the track disappears, and if you click it, it'll return. So here we've imported a media clip. This clip right here, and what we need to do is we need to break this clip into pieces and place it into this timeline. So this is the very first part of editing that you should become familiar with, is how to clip video and audio into pieces and embed it within a timeline. Now your best friend for doing this will be the timeline sizer, and the reason that this becomes crucial is that when you're clipping audio and video, sometimes you want to find a very specific point to clip that video or audio. So the larger and the longer I make the timeline, the more available space shows up between, particularly here, the sound. And so what happens is in this clip here, there's a huge amount of space before this starts and a huge amount of space after this very first part. So to get rid of that, you want to simply use your timeline pointer and place it before the speech starts. Now before I do that, the one thing that is always helpful, and I'll do this later, but sometimes you want to split the audio from the video before you do this. Sometimes you want to do it and then go back and split the audio and the video. I'm going to do it all together, and I'm actually going to apply I guess a feature of Camtasia Studio to this. I noticed that there's some background noise in the actual audio, and it's easier to do this before you've cut your entire video into pieces. And I cannot apply this particular feature until I've actually separated the audio from the video. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that because it requires me to do that, and the way I do is I right click on my element or my asset and I separate audio from video, and you'll see this will break into 2 tracks, and I see my video here, my audio here. And now I said we weren't going to cover all of these effects today. We're going to cover two. One is a transition, and the second is an audio effect. And the audio effect I want to apply, and I want to apply it before I start cutting my asset or element here, is I'm going to click on audio effects, is the noise removal. And the reason I want to do that is because I noticed that in this there was a little bit of background noise, like a little bit of a hum in the actual audio, and you can adjust the amount that you want to remove the noise. If you think it's very obtrusive, you can adjust the amount and the sensitivity with these dials here, or you can increase the actual volume of the sound with the gain. Now that's all I'm going to do for this video, is just really just apply this feature to the audio just to remove that background noise. Now another thing you may want to do is, depending on how you've recorded your audio, you may want to adjust the volume up or down. Now this seems it's a little high because the peaks are exceeding the top portion of the actual audio track. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit here before we start cutting this up. So the next step is to go back and start cutting our element into pieces. We know we don't want any empty space before we start, so we're going to go ahead and cut off with our pointer. We're going to click on both the sound and the video, and we're going to click our cut tool right here. This is your split tool. And then once we've done that, you're going to see it actually splits it. We're going to delete these two pieces because we don't want those anymore. We definitely just don't want blank space. Now we have another space right here. This is a long space. So I'm going to try to find a good point when Stacy has stopped speaking here. A little blooper there, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that right here. And again, how we do that is we click on one, we control click on the second one. You'll see they both become highlighted with a yellow border around them. That means that you have them active. And we're going to come over to our split tool here, and we're going to split this audio and video right here. And we're going to do the same thing again after all of this blank space. We're going to look for a spot that looks pretty good. She's smiling there, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to split that empty space. And again, we're going to click on one, control click on the other, and hit delete, and we're going to remove that from our element or asset. Now you could keep going. One of the things I always like to do is I like to bring these back together just so we're seeing the entire asset as it is in its entirety. Okay, so here we have, and so another thing I notice is that this is giving me a little bit of an echo, so I'm going to go back up to my volume a little bit and turn it down just a little bit more on both pieces. Now once you've split it, it's not so easy to line them up exactly the same, but that looks about the same. And we know we have a piece right here, we'll call it a blooper, and we're going to cut that out right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click on the audio, we're going to click on the video, and we're going to split this here, and we're going to get rid of our blooper. And we're going to come to the timeline further down where it looks appropriate, and we're going to click on the audio, we're going to click on the video, control click, and we're going to split that again, and we're going to go and highlight these and delete it, and then we're going to bring the audio and video back together. Alright, now with these 2-minute or less videos in this particular track that we're doing, which is the 16 elements to your online front door, Stacy embeds a screen recording like we're doing here in this video. We don't have this track right here today, so we're going to edit this video up to that point and leave space for that track to be added later. Pretty neat, huh? You can add a track, not track, but you can add an element to the existing tracks within the current video that you've already started. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to highlight both. I'm going to split this here, and I notice that there's a lot of empty space here. So we're going to go down to here, look for a good spot. That looks pretty good, and we're going to, I think I moved that. If you ever move something and you don't like it, you can hit Control and Z at the same time. Notice how that moved back a little bit. I did move it, and it'll actually undo your last change you made. And then I'm going to split this, and I'm going to take out, again, the dead space here. And we're going to go. Now remember I said that adjusting the size of your track or your timeline as far as the space is going to be your best friend. Well, I've lost track of where the rest of my video clip is, or my asset that I'm working on. So I'm actually going to reduce that now just to see where it is. Okay, so I see it's over here, and again what I want to do is I want to grab this and I'm going to bring this over here back to that clip. Alright, so we're not going to listen to that. So I'm going to assume that this is the end of our video right here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of the blank space again. And you can see that within our timeline we have a track 4 and 5, which is a piece of a video that we're taking, and we're going to embed this within an existing template that we use. Now again, this was expanded as far as the length between the sound or the video, and we're going to actually reduce that space back now so we can see the entire timeline that we are producing for. And I see most of it, but there's some off the screen here, so we forgot all about that. So again, if you want to see the whole thing, you want to reduce it even more in size, and you'll start to see all of the assets or elements return. Now the way this particular production goes, I know exactly how to place my cut pieces of this particular video clip into this existing template, or these tracks, so that they all fit together. And that's just because I've done so many of these. But to show you how you can do this, I literally want to take this track here, and I want to take its video, and I want to put that in the very beginning of my timeline. Now this is tricky. See, it won't let me bring it in. It's like stuck. It won't let me go over there. So sometimes you have to kind of work your way around until you find a way to move it to the very beginning of your timeline. Now in this particular video, again, this usually comes next in our videos. So I'm going to drag these two, which is the sound and the video, and connect it to our existing video clip as the beginning. And what we also do, again, I'm going to expand the length of the timeline here, not the length of the total time, but the length and size of the timeline, so that I can line this up where it would normally go, which is usually about right there. And you'll see how all this all fits together when we play the video. And I can continue on even from here. I know that this piece here and this piece here and this piece here and this piece here will generally go right here after our intro, our 2-minute intro, which again you'll see how all this fits together once I put it all together. Now the end of our timeline is off the screen, so we have to scroll way over there if we want to see it. So this is where your timeline sizer becomes very handy. I know that this will need to go to, I believe, here, and we'll just put it there. And this is generally how our template is started. Now I said there's an insert that goes in here. There'll be another piece of recording that Stacy refers to at the end of this clip about inserting a screencast or a screen capture like we're doing here within this particular video. Now what I am going to do is, you'll notice I'm just going to leave this space right here because that's where that's going to go. Just like we've put these pieces of this particular media clip in here and we've cut it and put it within our timeline, we're going to do the same thing with that insert. Now one of the questions you may have that comes up a lot is that as you drag things into your timeline, you start creating all these extra tracks. And will they hurt anything? And the simple answer is not really. So I would just say leave them in there. They don't really hurt anything. Now what I am going to do is, after a while you start to get too many and you end up scrolling up a lot and down a lot. So if you get more than 5 or 6, usually you want to start removing tracks, and if there's anything on that track, it'll tell you you can't remove it. So you see how now we're going down. I'm going to go down and remove down to track 5, which leaves us 4 tracks, but 1 blank one, and the reason I want to leave the blank one is just to show you that it doesn't matter. So now we're going to play this. We're going to go back and we're going to use our player here to kind of view what we've done, and you'll see how this production starts to play out. So I'm going to go ahead and click play.
Today, we'll cover element number 14, content upgrades. You want to use your homepage as a way to build a list. And the way that you do that is get people to raise their hand to get content that you offer in exchange for their email. Let me share with you how you can incorporate content upgrades as an element on your homepage.
So this is where she's referring to, let me show you, that's the insert. Now what I'm going to do is go to the second part of the clip, which would be after the insert, and see what that looks like.
Use your homepage to provide valuable content that people have to opt into to get more information. You'll be helping the user, and you'll be building your list at the same time. You can download the list of the 16 elements by going to smallbizmarketingspecialist.com/episode 27. This is Small Business Stacy, your small biz marketing specialist, here to help your business grow to 7 figures and more by helping you become a small biz marketing whiz.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed in just watching the clip that I inserted versus the template that was already there is that the video that I inserted, the volume is higher. You can see it. You can see the peaks here versus the template. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring these down a little bit so they're more in line with what's already in the current track. And that's probably too much, but we'll come back and we'll bump this up a little bit. And we're going to go back and watch this one more time, so we'll see what the impact of this is when we play it later. So you can see they're a lot more in line as far as the peaks in the audio, maybe except for this last track here.
Today, we'll cover element number 14, content upgrades. You want to use your homepage as a way to build a list. And the way that you do that is get people to raise their hand to get content that you offer in exchange for their email. Let me share with you how you can incorporate content upgrades as an element on your homepage.
All right, so what's interesting is that we have a redundant part here. So you're actually going to see me clip some video. What I noticed was that the video clip has the same redundant part here as the template did. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and I'm going to go back to my previous clip that I cut apart here. I'm going to stretch my size here, and I'm going to look for where that redundant part starts. I'm going to guess it starts about there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to try to find a good spot to cut that. I'm going to say right there. Again, we're going to highlight both the sound and the video with a control click. We're going to split that, and we're going to get rid of the redundant part. And while we're here, we can drag this back and connect it to our remainder of our video. We're going to reduce the size of our timeline here. Again, not in actual time, but in length of screen. And I think we're probably good enough for now. Now, this is not a completely done production until we until we place the insert within the video. But you get the point. I've left that space so I know where to put that, and I really don't know how long it is, and I can move these around and connect them as I need. Now, one thing you always want to do is you want to make sure that you save. Now, the way Camtasia Studio works is that each and every time you are in the editor, you are working in a project, whether that's a new project or an existing project. So this was actually an existing project that I now want to save as a new project. So I'm going to click the Save As because I've changed the one that was there before, and I'm going to go up to my videos and I'm going to look for where this one would go. This goes in 16 elements, and I believe this is number 14, which is really called Content Upgrades. So we're going to call this Project 14 Content Upgrades. And in most cases, I would have saved this more times than just this once. So I went in and saved it, and it tells me it saved my project here. Now I'm going to do one more thing in this video that I think a lot of people really appreciate within videos, and that is sometimes when you split a video, you'll notice that in between some of the, and this is probably not a good one, we'll start with this one right here, in between some of the little clips that we've made, that so you notice how that picture changed, and it changed rapidly. Some people like that. That's called a jump cut, and it's okay. It works very well in movies. I like to make it a little smoother, and this is a personal preference more than anything. So what Camtasia Studio has done is given me something called transitions, and these are some standard transitions that come with Camtasia Studio. I'm not going to go through these all today. You can play with them if you want to. If you just hover over them, they'll actually kind of show you what the transition does. You have a fade through black, a flip. Sometimes I'll use that, but the one I like to use a lot in these videos is the fold. I'm going to go ahead and grab the fold because the fold doesn't actually lose any of the picture. It just flips one side over the other, and I'm going to grab this transition and I'm going to drop it in between these two clips, and we're going to see what this looks like now with this transition rather than just a jump clip. Again, personal preference. Everybody, if you ask 10 people, you get 10 different answers on which transition they like to see between these clips. This just happens to be one that I like for this particular video. You'll get a feeling for which ones you like when you start using Camtasia Studio, or any other editor for that matter, what transitions that you really like. Now I'm going to go ahead before I forget, and I'm going to use that same transition in other spots. Now I'm not going to do it in the beginning because it's not, the clip jumps literally to a different clip back to the person clip. So in that case, a jump clip usually does look better than some type of a fade or a fold. So I'm going to leave those as is, and that's generally how we do most of these videos. And that's it. So you've now really just seen how to use some basics of Camtasia Studio, including some audio effects, some transitions, how to clip or split a video into multiple pieces and move the pieces around, what a track is, what a timeline is, how to adjust not the time length of your timeline, but the screen length of your timeline to find precise spots in the audio and the video where you want to split it. So we will come back and continue this series of educational videos on Camtasia Studio, as well as other tools that we use in future videos and podcasts. Thank you for listening. Take care.
This podcast was brought to you by Small Business Stacy, the small biz marketing specialist. Want to grow your business more in the next 30 days than you have in the past 3 months? Get your free marketing plan at smallbizmarketingspecialist.com. That's small, B-I-Z, marketingspecialist.com.